Hello, Nation. I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Jeremy Pettis. We both have type 1, we both use CGM, we both see patients across the country with type 1 diabetes. Today, we're going to talk about a super important aspect of continuous glucose monitoring. Where do you set your alerts and alarms? We're going to go to the high level first. Jeremy?
Yeah, I think this is such an important topic and something that's not really talked about that much.
This is the first time.
I know. So here we are. So for the high alerts, I think the most important message is this is something that should be adjusted over time. When I first started on my CGM, I had my high alert set at 200 because that's where I kind of felt like, okay, I want to do something. But over time, as I've learned to trust my CGM more and they've become more accurate, I've actually ratcheted down that high alert to now I have mine set at 160 because I feel confident every time my blood sugar is going over 160, especially if it's going up, I'm going to do something about it. So what's your high alert at?
Well, my high alert is during the day, it's 160 because I like to be notified before it gets too high, not when it's already too high. At night, we'll talk about bugging you too much. I raise it up to 180. And the other thing is, I've seen people with high blood sugars all day when I look at their downloads and their high alert is off where it's on 240. That defeats the whole purpose of wearing a CGM. However, if you're new, your A1C is high, you're just trying to get used to the system, do it as high as you like, but just remember, you should ratchet it down over time.
Yeah, I agree. Common pitfalls are people setting it way too high. It's at 300, so it's not even really that relevant, where they turn it off completely. And I agree with you. I get it. These alarms are annoying, but if you're not using them, you're not using a main feature of CGM.
You know what?
I was just going to say.
I was going to say it.
When people, ask me, they say, what's your favorite thing about having a CGM? I say it's having the alarms. But guess what? That's also my least favorite thing about having a CGM because they can drive you nuts.
Yeah, these alerts are your friends, and sometimes friends can drive you crazy. You just got to adjust your friends. Let's talk about lows. I set my low at 80 because if I set it any higher, you're going to get a lot of alerts. But this is me, not anybody else. And don't forget the lag time. If your blood sugar is dropping rapidly, even though your CGM may go off at 79, it may be 20 points lower depending how fast you're dropping.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I have mine set at 80 also. But I think, for people that have an extreme fear of hypoglycemia and like to run high most of the time, I might tell them, well, set it at 100. Give yourself a little bit more of a buffer so you feel protected.
Yeah.
And then you can adjust it if you need to.
Yeah, you just remember, if you have hypo unawareness, that's the part you want to be cautious with.
Yeah.
Now, what about repeat high and repeat low? That's extremely important.
Yeah. So I think just knowing what it is probably the most important thing. A repeat high alarm, for example, means when is your alarm going to repeat if it hasn't kind of gotten down into a normal range. So
it comes from the factory completely off.
Right.
And most people don't know what that is. So that's why pay attention to it.
So when it comes off, if your blood sugar goes up to 200 at night and it alarms, it's only going to alarm once and never alert again, even if you're high for 24 hours. So I have my repeat high set at 2 hours. So it says, hey, you're still high 2 hours later. If you took a bolus, it didn't really work and you might need to do something else.
Yeah, and 2 hours is good because we don't want to stack the insulin, but still you want to keep an eye on your blood sugars because we know that when you correct or give yourself a bolus, sometimes nothing happens to your blood sugars.
So look, you can find it pretty easily in your CGM, the repeat high. Repeat low, I'm a little bit more aggressive with because I want to know sooner if I'm low. So again, sometimes I look at people's downloads and they're 60 all night long. That's a dangerous situation.
Super dangerous.
So I have my repeat low set at 30 minutes. So hey, if I haven't woken up or corrected my low, I want to know about it.
Yeah, at least if you look at it, you see a trend or going like that, you can say, okay, I'm coming up. Now, let's close with how do we involve our family members, our loved ones, our spouses, if your kids are old enough, those two.
Well, we were just talking about doing a dedicated Edelman report on this topic because it's so important.
Yeah.
But I think the first thing is just educating your significant other. I hear a lot where significant others will say, gosh, this thing was beeping and buzzing all night long. I don't know if she was high or low or what was going on. Simply educating them. 2 beeps means you're high. 3 beeps means you're low. 4 beeps means you're really low. So if I'm 2 beeps, it's probably okay. But if I'm 3 or 4, I want you to wake up and do something about it.
At least
a little nudge.
A little nudge, say, hey, you're high, because a lot of times it's so strange. We talk to people all over the country and The person with diabetes has a hard time hearing these alerts, but not the significant other who's sleeping with them.
But I'll tell you, the thing that bothers me the most is sometimes I see people, they come in and I say, hey, your alerts are off. And they say, well, I turned it off because my significant other doesn't like it and it keeps them up. And I've over the years, I've worked out the perfect thing to say that to that significant other to fix the problem. And if you don't mind, Steve, I'd like to role play that real quick.
Sure.
Let me get into character here. So I'm somebody with type 1 diabetes and I use a CGM and you're my significant other and you're tired of it. Let's go.
Jeremy, the thing is bugging me all night. I'm sick of it. You've got to do something. You're going to sleep on the couch from now on.
Steve, I hear you, but I'm leaving you. So long, nation.